Hey hockey players, Coach Garner here from hockeytraining.com. In this first ever issue of the Coach's Corner, I want to talk about the difference between outcome goals and process goals. Let me tell you something as a coach. It all begins up here. This is the catalyst for everything that's going to happen in your life. What begins in the mind ends in the body, and what begins in the mind will end in your environment. We really create the circumstances that we have within our physiology, and we create the circumstances that we have within our environment. It is all ultimately on us for us to make that happen. And in nowhere in sports psychology is it more important to get your goals right in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish in the sport that you're in. When it comes to hockey, you guys, so many of you I have seen set outcome-based goals before you set your process-based goals. Now, what's the difference here? Well, an outcome is the what, and a process is the how. The outcome goal is what you're going to achieve at the end of it all. The thing that you want really, really bad. The thing that's currently waking you up in the morning. The process is how you're actually going to get to that goal. The process should be the goal, and the goal should be the process. Motivation will never sustain itself long enough for you to ultimately get to that outcome. Moreover, an outcome goal is not a strategy. It is simply a goal. So many of us lose motivation because we get confused because we don't have a process. For example, I want to build 10 pounds of muscle. Okay, great. How are you going to do that? You need a process-based goal in order to achieve the outcome goal. Building 10 pounds of muscle means absolutely nothing. That is an outcome goal, and it is good to have, but what are some process-based goals that you could build in order to attain that? Well, you should probably sleep 8 hours per night every single night. You should probably manage your stressors because stressors affect your ability to recover from exercise, and recovery is what's actually going to allow you to adapt and build that 10 pounds of muscle. You should probably get 4 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables in per day. You should probably get 4 to 6 servings of protein-based meals per day, and you definitely want healthy fats and healthy carbohydrates because if you don't have your nutrition in check, you're not going to be gaining weight. Nutrition has to be there, stress management has to be there, sleep has to be there, and a logical, progressive, periodized training plan needs to be in place focused on strength and hypertrophy to ultimately get you to that 10-pound gain of muscle mass. And what do you have to do? You have to show up. Process goals are all about showing up. That is the process. It's showing up. That's what you need to do. All those things need to be checked off because checking off those things will ultimately get you your outcome goal. So if you're having trouble getting to your goals right now, have a look at what your goals are if you've wrote them down and assess, are these process goals or are these outcome goals? Because you should be held accountable daily, weekly, monthly, yearly to the process and not the outcome because outcomes can take years. They can take your life. Look at the NHL. Every year, some team is expected to get to the Stanley Cup. They've got a shot at getting to the Stanley Cup. Professional athletes are smarter than this. Professional coaches are even smarter than that. Why? Because they focus on the process. If I focus on the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season, I'm doomed to fail. Why am I doomed to fail? Because I've got to train each and every single week to stay in top physical condition. I have to manage stress. I have to sleep. I have to eat accordingly. If I am playing a team now that's not even close to the Stanley Cup final yet, do you know what I still have to do? I have to watch game footage, I have to build a strategy, and then I have to practice that strategy out in the ice before the game. I have to make sure the team gets a good pre-game meal in, and then we go execute that game. That game could be considered a process or for the ultimate outcome, which is the goal of making it to the Stanley Cup. The process is the goal, and the goal is the process. It's just like a set of staircases. You can't be at the bottom of the stairs and be like, all right, next step, top of the stairs. It really doesn't work like that, does it? There are steps that you need to take that will ultimately get you to the outcome. And each step along the way is a step in the process. If you focus on the process the process will reward you. If you don't focus on the process, you will not have a strategy and you will not have the motivation to sustain yourself long enough to get to the outcome. I'm not saying outcome goals are bad. They are excellent. They get you excited. They make you feel good when you think about them. They bring that intrinsic motivation from the inside out that allows you to focus on the process. That's what outcome goals are for. You can think about outcome and process like a circular motion here. Your outcome motivates the process motivates the outcome, and it continues to go in that cyclical process until you ultimately reach your goals. So what do I want you to do right now? I want you to look at your goals. If you don't have outcome goals, set them, but you need 5 to 10 process goals, and you need to be held accountable to those process goals every single day, week, and month until you achieve your outcome, because that is where true success is made, that is where true results are built, and that's how real hockey players are made. Thanks for watching. Set your process goals.